Hello and welcome to another edition of News Showcase. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Reports say more than 30 people died in Tamil Nadu state after drinking toxic liquor, which contained methanol. The drinkers belonged to Kallakurichi district, where the illegal liquor was manufactured and sold. More than 50 others who consumed the liquor during this week are being treated at state-run hospitals in Tamil Nadu and neighboring Puducherry. The state government, which is facing a wave of criticism, has changed the district's collector and replaced several police officers in charge of the region. Last year, over a dozen people died after consuming toxic liquor in another district, not far from the latest tragedy. Politicians from the opposition said the government has failed to crack down and State Chief Minister M.K. Stalin should take responsibility.
இவ்வளவு பேர் சுமார் 200 பேர் கள்ளச்சாராயம் குடித்து ஆபத்தான நிலையில் இருக்கிறார்களே. இதற்கு ஒரு 20 பேருக்கு ஒரு அமைச்சரை போட்டு இன்றைக்கு சென்னையிலிருந்து மருத்துவர்களை அழைத்து வந்து இன்றைக்கு உயர்தர சிகிச்சை அளிக்கப்பட்டிருந்தால் பல பேரை காப்பாற்றிருக்கலாம். சம்பந்தப்பட்டவரை கைது செய்யாமல் அதில் வேலை பார்த்த வடநாட்டு தொழிலாளர்களை அதற்கு கைது செய்து கண்துடைப்பு நாடகம் அளித்தார். இவ்வளவு உயிர்கள் இன்றைக்கு போவதற்கு காரணம், இவ்வளவு மரணங்கள் ஏற்படுவதற்கு காரணமாக இருந்த நிர்வாக திறமையற்ற முதலமைச்சர் திரு ஸ்டாலின் அவர்கள் ராஜினாமா செய்ய வேண்டும்.
Latest figures say at least 68 Indian pilgrims have died in heat waves in Saudi Arabia's Mecca. On Wednesday, diplomats from various countries said the total death toll from heat crossed the 500 mark, which included pilgrims from Egypt and Jordan, Indonesia, Iran, Senegal, Tunisia, and Iraq's autonomous Kurdistan region also confirmed the death of their citizens, but it is not known if all of them died from heat-related cases. The Saudi National Meteorological Center reported this week that temperatures in the Grand Mosque in Mecca reached 51.8 degrees Celsius. During the Hajj pilgrimage, long stretches of time must be spent outdoors during the day in order to complete certain rituals, like the prayers on Mount Arafat. During last year's Hajj, at least 240 pilgrims died due to heat-related problems in Mecca. India's Education Ministry has said it cancelled the UGC NET exams after inputs that its integrity may have been compromised. Over 11 lakh candidates took the test on Tuesday and it was cancelled 2 days later. The ministry said it will not spare anyone involved in malpractice. Joint Secretary Govind Jaiswal said the test was cancelled on a tip-off from the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. He said federal investigator CBI will probe any irregularities and a new test date would be announced soon. The test is necessary to qualify for the post of assistant professor in colleges and universities. The row follows protests over the controversial scoring methods in the NEET exam, which is mandatory to qualify for medical studies. Ahead of the International Yoga Day on Friday, Indians of all ages have been preparing to mark the event across the country and around the world. In 2014, the United Nations General Assembly declared June 21st as World Yoga Day after it was initiated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It recognized the breathing and physical exercises as a holistic approach to health and well-being. Over the years, Modi has personally led events to mark the International Yoga Day. Yoga is practiced by millions of people, mostly among Indians, as a way to stay healthy physically and mentally. The Indian Embassy in Washington organized a session which attracted a large number of people at the Wharf, a high-end landmark in the US capital. There was some relief in Delhi as the heat wave sweeping the city was broken by strong winds overnight. There were no reports of damage to property or disruptions to traffic movements in the city. The swirling winds came as the densely populated metropolis struggled for drinking water. The severe scarcity has been blamed on temperatures hitting 50 degrees, which caused reservoirs to dry up. The city's frantic request to neighboring states to share water has been stuck in legal cases. Haridwar, another city in the north, was lashed by overnight rains, which reduced the level of the scorching summer heat. The city, known for its religious tourist sites, was also battered by heat waves, which kept tourists away and forced residents to stay indoors. Russian President Vladimir Putin is visiting Vietnam on his second stop of his East Asian trip. The visit is seen as an indication of the continued diplomatic support Russia still enjoys in the area, following his lavish visit to North Korea. His arrival in Hanoi has drawn criticism from the US for providing President Putin with a stage to further his aggressive conflict in Ukraine. Vietnam has described their ties as filled with loyalty and gratitude. Vietnam is striving to strengthen its relations with the US and Europe, but it still cherishes its historic connections with Russia. Vietnam continues to explore for oil in the South China Sea through collaborations with Russian oil corporations, and its military primarily uses hardware manufactured in Russia. Surveys in the UK say the Labour Party was expected to secure a sizable majority and indicated that British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservatives would suffer a historic defeat in the election on the 4th of July. One of the surveys by YouGov found Labour's Keir Starmer would secure the greatest number of parliamentary seats in the House of Commons in its history, around 425 of the 650 seats. In two other surveys, Savanta gave Labour 516 and More in Common gave 406. The three surveys were known as multi-level regression and post-stratification surveys, which predict outcomes in each British voting district by utilising data such as voters' age, gender and education. Using this strategy, pollsters were able to accurately forecast the outcome of the 2017 British election. The Gambling Commission is investigating a second Conservative candidate for betting on the date of the UK general election. As the party's nominee in Bristol North West, Laura Saunders has been affiliated with the party since 2015. It is believed that her most recent position was in the international division of the party, which is a unit of the Conservative campaign headquarters that communicates with other centre-right parties globally. The betting amount and date of placement are unknown. Last week, Craig Williams, a former aide to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, expressed regret and acknowledged that he had made a huge error of judgment by placing a bet on the general election date. According to reports, betting on confidential information is a crime under the country's laws. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in Iran has been designated as a terrorist organization by Canada in response to years of lobbying from opposition lawmakers and several Iranian expatriates. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc referred to the decision as a significant tool in fighting global terrorism when he made it public on Wednesday. Thousands of senior Iranian government officials, including members of the Corps, will be prohibited from visiting Canada as a result of the measure. A significant political, military and economic power in Iran, the Corps is closely associated with Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the country's supreme leader. It is thought to have around 190,000 active members who command Iran's strategic weapons and have their own air force, navy and ground forces. Canada had already designated Iran's Quds Force as a terrorist organization. A top government minister reported that a countrywide blackout struck Ecuador on Wednesday, leaving almost 18 million people without power for a number of hours. Early afternoon on Wednesday, the traffic lights in Quito, the capital, ceased functioning and the metro system came to a complete stop. After power supply was restored, Roberto Luque, the Minister of Public Works, attributed the power outage to underfunding of electrical systems. Luque declared a few hours after the blackout that 95% of the nation's electricity was back. The majority of the nation's energy comes from its neighbor Colombia. Due to a drought in April, the government was compelled to declare a number of scheduled blackouts that left large cities without power for extended periods of time. The birthplace of Lord Buddha in Nepal is seeing a surge in tourists for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic. Maya Devi Temple in Lumbini town, which marks the place, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site set in the southern plains. Authorities say more than 30,000 Indian tourists visited the site since January this year, with the number increasing by a large margin each month. It is a big surge compared to the 60,000 visitors throughout last year. According to reports, tourists from around the world who come to the temple have also increased significantly. The Maya Devi Temple, known as the Light of Asia, houses the marker stone, the nativity sculpture, and the structural ruins associated with the birth of the Buddha. Indian Railway conducted a trial of a train over the world's highest bridge in the federal territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The bridge runs across the Chenab River in Reasi district at a height of 109 feet and is considered a structural marvel. In terms of its height, it is said to be 35 meters taller than the Eiffel Tower in Paris. The single-track bridge connecting Bakal and Kauri areas is in the shape of an arch made of steel and concrete. The Chenab Bridge was built at a cost of rupees 35,000 crore under the Udhampur-Srinagar-Baramulla railway project. It was planned to improve connectivity in Jammu and Kashmir across a complex topography with challenging weather conditions. Thank you for watching. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Do tune in, same time tomorrow, for a roundup of the latest news and updates in India and around the world.